9 years ago, a man was found shot to death in his home near Leland.
A co-worker found 54-year-old Mark Johnson in his home after Johnson never showed up to work that day. It is a murder that remains unsolved. Neighbors say it's a nice, quiet neighborhood off Highway 133 in Brunswick County, a neighborhood with little probability of crime. This is where Mark Deegan Johnson lived in 2008 on Red Fox Run.
No one actually had great knowledge of him. They seem to say he's our neighbor.
Neighbors only saw him in passing, but his daughter, Michaela Yates, who now lives in South Carolina, probably knew him better than anyone else.
We talked almost every day. He was my best friend.
Yates says Johnson was a man who believed in second chances.
He was a really good guy with a great heart, but he had his demons, which is why he always believed in giving second chances.
She says he owned his own roofing business with Dan de Blasio, a friend who Yates says was more like family.
I knew him very well. He was friends with my father for years before they were partners. They employed people who needed a second chance regularly, and I think that's kind of what led to his downfall.
Civilian investigative specialist Jim Westbrook with the Brunswick County Sheriff's Office says Dan de Blasio was the last known person who spoke to Johnson on Saturday, October 18th. 2 days later, de Blasio started getting worried.
Concerned because he didn't show up on Monday morning for work. So he went over his house and had to knock the door down, came in and found his body.
Westbrook says Johnson had been shot to death.
He was found basically in the middle of his house where he had fallen.
I was supposed to be up there the weekend, and he died. But it was my birthday, so I stayed home. I got the call the next day, and I was really scared because he didn't answer my phone calls the day before. And so it knocked me off my feet.
Westbrook says they don't know when exactly it happened.
We have, indications that he was alive Saturday, but there's no indication that whether or not he died that night or Sunday.
He also says it's difficult to tell how the suspect got inside.
When Mr. de Blasio came to find the body, he broke in the front door. So there was no indication if there had been any previous damage.
But he says they do know about a previous break-in.
We found out that his house had been broken into earlier in that year. There was indications he may have had a large amount of money. So we're looking at the probability that this was related to an attempt at armed robbery.
And another probability?
There were probably more than one individual involved in this crime.
Probabilities here and there that make a strong case. But Westbrook says they just need a little more.
What we need is basically someone with firsthand knowledge to come forward and provide that last bit of information that we need to permit us to bring the guilty party or parties to justice.
Information that could change the probability of Yates getting the answers she's been waiting for.
To know what happened and why, and if it was someone that just kind of worked for him, or it was someone close to him. There have been so many rumors and so many leads, and it just hasn't gone anywhere.
Answers to her dad's murder, the single gunshot that remains unsolved. If you have any information, please contact the Brunswick County Sheriff's Office. To see this story and more unsolved cases in the Cape Fear, go to waytv3.com/unsolved after the show.
And you said de Blasio.
So, yeah, I was going to try to talk to him, but the Sheriff's Office said that he recently passed away, I think, last spring. So,
did he give them any insight into what had happened?
Pretty much all of the information I got was from de Blasio. I mean, he was the last person that talked to Mark on Saturday, and then he's the one who found him 2 days later. So his daughter told me they were really good friends, and then they went into this roofing business together, and they employed people who had been in prison and just people who needed second chances. So
wow, what an interesting one. And I know